He's been in this sport for a while, now he's fighting as a top contender. I'm a champion. Now it's just up to me to defend my titles. I think he's no pushover. He's there for a reason. He's top contender for a reason, and we plan to show everybody.
Sebastian Fundora strongly rejected the suggestion that he has been avoiding Jaron "Boots" Ennis, insisting that his team has never received an official offer for the proposed matchup. Speaking on Boxing Scene, Robert Garcia, who trains Ennis's rival Vergil Ortiz Jr., named Fundora as a serious alternative should the long-discussed Ortiz fight fail to materialize. Garcia made it clear that his team would gladly pursue a fight with Fundora, especially since, like Ortiz, Fundora holds a legitimate world championship.
Or Fundora don't happen, well then we got to move on and continue fighting and keep them busy and continue doing our thing. But no, we want those fights. It doesn't matter, obviously Boots is our main fight right there. That's the one we want, and that's the one we already agreed to. And on our side, it's a done deal. But if not, then we're gonna try to push for Fundora. The WBC could force that fight because we are the interim champions, and Fundora is the WBC champion. So it's a fight that should have.
Garcia further explained that the WBC could potentially become an important factor in putting the matchup together because Ortiz currently holds the interim championship while Fundora possesses the full title. From Garcia's perspective, this is a fight that should already be taking shape. Meanwhile, highly respected trainer Brian "Bomac" McIntyre described the 154 pounds division as one of the deepest and most unpredictable in boxing. He highlighted Jaron Ennis, Vergil Ortiz Jr., and Sebastian Fundora while arguing that almost any elite matchup in the division could genuinely go either way. McIntyre even compared today's talent pool to boxing's legendary Four Kings era, praising the current generation for being willing to challenge one another.
I think he have to. I mean, he's a great fighter. He can start his own era like what he's doing now, but he got a lot of guys he got to compete with, like Shakur. He got Inoue. Those guys are young and still fighting. So yeah. I ain't gonna really call it the Boots era. I just think he's a great fighter in the era with other guys that can say this was my era.
Mm-hmm. With that, I know like there's the Fundoras and Vergils, like they all have to fight each other to even come to that conclusion. I mean, is that amongst those guys, is there someone stand out a little bit more, or is it still kind of 50-50 across?
I think it's a 50-50 across the board, because when you look at Vergil, and when he get guys hurt, like maybe Boots was hurt, he finished them off. You look at Fundora with the range and the height he got, even though he's been beat before, since then he's just been cleaning them up. And so we all waiting to see, when those two or three, like the Four Kings, yeah, when they tangle. So as boxers.
Eddie Hearn, who promotes Ennis, offered a similar assessment while discussing the options available following Boots' victory over Xander Zayas. Hearn confirmed that several names are being considered, including Josh Kelly, Vergil Ortiz, and Sebastian Fundora. However, he stressed that any negotiations with Fundora, just like discussions with Ortiz, must now take into consideration that Ennis is a unified champion. The financial expectations and contractual conditions that may have been discussed before his latest victory can no longer serve as the original starting point.
By all my comments previously, it is one of the very best fights in the sport. Boots will take it like that. But I have to go and present an offer to Jaron Ennis. And I can do that by having a chat and seeing the numbers. But if you're like, it's always, make the fight, Eddie. It's like, make the offer. Right? So, Golden Boy, DAZN, if you want to challenge the champ, make the offer to the champ. If not, we'll sit down and we'll tell you what you're getting for the fight, and then we'll work with Golden Boy or co-promote, no problem. But respect what he's done, respect the situation, and respect that today's price is not...
During an appearance on the Porterway podcast, Sean Porter praised the progress he has seen from Fundora, particularly after the towering Southpaw's victory over Keith Thurman. Porter viewed that performance as evidence that Fundora is finally learning how to actively maximize his remarkable height and reach rather than simply relying on those physical gifts.
On Keith Thurman that last fight, it showed me that he really is embracing his size now, the
getting
reach.
experience now.
Yeah,
He getting that experience. They let
Because-
him get it.
you know, and he took some big shots too. That chin, like he got the knockout, the one knockout that he had.
Brian Mendoza.
I'm sorry, my daughter keep calling me.
You good?
Yeah. So and then Keith Thurman is a big puncher, and he took some shots, and he just fought on the outside and just made it look easy. I think that the way he's fighting right now.
Porter explained that Fundora absorbed some of Thurman's best punches while continuing to control the fight with his long frame. In Porter's eyes, Fundora has developed into a significantly more dangerous fighter than he was earlier in his career. Although the main discussion focused on a potential Ennis versus Ortiz showdown, it also demonstrated why Fundora has become such a major talking point. Porter and his co-hosts viewed Fundora, Ortiz, and Ennis as legitimate 50-50 level elite fighters at 154 pounds, with all three waiting for the biggest matchups in the division to finally happen.
Against Ortiz or Fundora.
Call me crazy and saying all that. Number one, they have the game plan, but I still think that talent is so superior. Like he said, it's a, and I know this from my own experience. It's a different speed on the outside than when you actually get in the ring and do it. I was one of those guys that everybody felt like they could game plan for me, but they didn't understand how quick I actually was. They didn't understand how explosive I actually was able to get my way with just about everybody I was in the ring with, because on the outside looking in, it's just a little bit different, So I still think he beats Fundora.
During a recent episode of the Angry Man podcast, Greg suggested that Fundora's team may have become more interested in facing Ennis after seeing Boots experience difficulties during the third round against Zayas. He believes Fundora's camp could have interpreted those moments as an opening, particularly before Ennis had an opportunity to correct those weaknesses and become even more refined.
It's for real as it relates to wanting to unify the division and feeling he's the best and willing to face and fight anybody.
Yeah, it depends on, who sent the offer.
Who cares?
The reason I say that because Fundora's team they said they'd fight anyone, but now
Greg also suggested that Josh Kelly could be the more logical next opponent for Ennis because of their shared promotional connection, provided Kelly first gets past his upcoming assignment. Even so, he made it clear that he would have no objection to Fundora becoming the opponent if negotiations eventually move in that direction.
Let's get in there real fast, but I like it. I really do like it. I don't know if it's going to come into fruition. I thought Josh Kelly will probably be their quicker route, since that'll be an in-house fight as long as Josh Kelly takes care.
Greg then highlighted the unusual circumstances surrounding the rankings, pointing out that Ring Magazine has Virgil Ortiz Jr. sitting at number 1 despite Ortiz not holding a world title in the division. The discussion then turned toward Fundora's remarkable physical dimensions. Standing around 6 feet 7 inches with an enormous reach approaching 90 inches, Fundora presents a challenge that is unlike almost anything Ennis has encountered before.
I say Fundora is one of the best at 154. For some reason, they got Joe Boy at number 1 at 154 when he hasn't got a belt there, but it is what it is with Virgil being number 1 at 154, I think, according to Ring Magazine, whatever. But yeah, it'll be an interesting matchup. The styles makes fight is big, as we see in this matchup here. Fundora's 6'7". Got a 90,000 reach. Something like.
Greg warned that even brief defensive mistakes or moments of lost concentration could prove extremely expensive for Ennis against someone with Fundora's physical dimensions. The combination of tremendous reach, natural size, and an awkward, unpredictable style means that even a small error could create serious consequences for Boots throughout the fight. Here's the continuation rewritten with the same meaning and key details, while keeping every interview label unchanged, refreshing the sentence structure, and removing production markers.
This will be a big test, a biggest test for Boots of his career, of course, if he were to fight Fundora. All that focus, lack of focus, that bet not happen here. He gonna be sleep.
Jason agreed with parts of that analysis, but emphasized a principle he has always stood by: styles make fights. He rejected the notion that having more physical advantages or technical weapons automatically guarantees victory. In Jason's view, Ennis already possesses the skills and style capable of giving Fundora serious trouble. At the same time, he acknowledged that Fundora has displayed weaknesses in recent performances that he still needs to correct and eliminate.
I think, you know, and I'm so big on styles make fights, right? I think a lot of these young whippersnappers, some of these young punks, specifically those young punks that are in our Discord, believe that, simply put, if you have more tools in your toolbox than your opponent, you always win. It's not right. Stylistically, styles can make fights. And I think from a stylistic standpoint, I think Boots has demonstrated that there are things that he can do in the ring that would give Fundora problems.
Oh, absolutely.
I still don't think Fundora has necessarily showed me that he has closed those vulnerabilities, or at least significant.
Former world champion Chris Algieri believes the 154 pounds division has developed into one of boxing's most dangerous weight classes, with several elite fighters capable of defeating one another on any given night. Looking at the current landscape, Algieri described junior middleweight as a true battlefield packed with high-level talent. He highlighted Jaron Boots Ennis, Sebastian Fundora, Virgil Ortiz Jr., and Josh Kelly as some of the division's key names. According to Algieri, every fighter brings a different style and presents a unique set of problems, making nearly every major matchup extremely difficult to predict.
Fundora actually is the final boss at 154. What would you like to see Boots fight first? Would you like to see him go up against Fundora first, or Virgil, considering?
To be fully transparent, Virgil's my guy.
Okay.
Because Virgil's my guy. I've known Robert Garcia a long time. He's been telling me about him for a long time. And I know Virgil. I like Virgil. So it'd be hard to be unbiased. But Fundora is such a difficult puzzle. He's so long, and he's getting better. He's improving. He's improving. He's learning how to use his size. He's using his jab. He's being more disciplined. He's not taking risks like he used to. Talk about a guy who used to allow people to hit him and then has figured out that you shouldn't do that at the highest level in that Brian Mendoza fight. But since then, he's been very, very good. So, yeah, I can understand why people would see him as the final guy, because, again, with those physical advantages and the way that he's getting better, very, very difficult to deal with. Virgil, the inactivity really worries me because you got sharks circling. And Jaron, with the level of talent he has, he can beat anybody.
Algieri placed particular focus on WBC champion Sebastian Fundora. He described the unusually tall southpaw as one of the most difficult opponents in boxing to properly prepare for. Fundora's extreme height, enormous reach, and unorthodox approach create a complicated puzzle, forcing opponents to prepare for physical dimensions and angles they rarely encounter against other fighters.
Boots, Josh Kelly, Fundora, Virgil. From the bottom to the top, how would you go?
Can't do it. Can't do it. Because it's one of those fights, it's one of those divisions where, again, if they all fight each other, I don't think anybody stays undefeated. So even trying to rank people, just because they're all so different. You know, you got Boots, who's a fluid, side-switching, counter-punching, killer puncher. You got Virgil, who's a two-fisted destroyer, comes to get you. Fundora is the towering inferno. He's 6'9" or however tall he is. You got Josh Kelly, who's a slippery guy. So you've got a lot of different styles.
Jaron Ennis has made his goal absolutely clear. He wants to become the undisputed champion at 154 pounds. Rather than looking for easier opportunities or simply pursuing the biggest payday, Boots says he wants to face the toughest challenges available. He has specifically identified unified champion Sebastian Fundora and British contender Josh Kelly as fighters he would be willing to face next. Ultimately, his mission remains collecting every major championship belt in the division.
The better I'm going to be, the sharper I'm going to be. So, I'm here to, collect these belts. And, I want to be undisputed at 154, and I will be undisputed at 154. I didn't get to do it at 47. So, the next best thing is, Fundora or, Kelly. And I feel like everybody want to see me and Fundora because he...
Virgil Ortiz Jr. has expressed a very similar mindset. Ortiz says he has no interest in protecting his undefeated record by selecting comfortable opponents. Instead, he wants to test himself against the strongest competition available. Ennis and unified champion Sebastian Fundora are among the names Ortiz has identified as preferred opponents, because he believes defeating elite fighters is what will ultimately define and strengthen his legacy.
You are still a star. What do you want to do next?
Man, I just want the best fights, no matter who it is. Jaron Ennis, Fundora, anyone with the belt. There's really not anyone in the top 10 that I haven't fought or that I haven't tried to fight. At this point, people just need to take the fights, and a lot of people want to say, how come you haven't tried this route? Just because I'm not calling people out on social media like everyone else does doesn't mean I'm telling my manager, hey, let's make this fight. That doesn't mean I'm not talking to the WBC like, hey, how come we haven't made this fight happen yet? You know what I mean? Like we've done our part, you know. I'm not a very vocal guy. Well, I'm starting to be.
When discussing the toughest opponents in the division, Boots admitted that he considers Sebastian Fundora a more complicated challenge than Virgil Ortiz Jr. Ennis respects Ortiz's abilities, but believes Ortiz's direct and aggressive style could actually play into his own strengths. Fundora presents a completely different problem. His enormous height, incredible reach, and awkward movement create a unique style of challenge, which is precisely why Ennis appears so determined to overcome him on his journey toward becoming undisputed.
Would you consider Fundora and, Ortiz same level as Zayas, or do you think they're a step up?
To be honest, I think Zayas got a little bit more game to him than Virgil. You know what you're getting from Virgil. Virgil straight up and down. He gonna try to walk you down, and y'all know. Come on now, you can't just walk to me, cause I got heat. I got heat for you. So, and I think that make like people gonna say it's a tailor-made fight for me. You know, I feel like fighting a guy like Fundora.
When asked about the long-awaited matchup with Ennis, Ortiz insisted that he has repeatedly instructed his team to move forward with the fight. He made it clear that the delay has not come from his side and maintained that he has been willing to accept the matchup. Ortiz says he remains ready and will step into the ring whenever the opportunity is officially made.
I give him the green light. You know, it's only been one-sided green lights coming from out over here. The reason that the fight hasn't happened is simply because
Boxing analyst Timothy Bradley Jr. believes Sebastian Fundora is one of the few fighters capable of creating serious problems for Jaron "Boots" Ennis. However, Bradley stressed that his concern is primarily based on Fundora's unusual physical advantages, rather than believing Fundora is technically superior. His massive reach, high punch output, power, and ability to control distance can make it extremely difficult for opponents to close the gap and establish their own offense.
He could. And I only say that because of his attributes. Not because of his boxing skills. It's because of his attributes. That's why. This guy has, and it's Sebastian Fundora. You guys know who he is. He's a southpaw too, right? He has range. He has volume. He has punching power as well. Okay? He knows how to keep his distance. He's difficult. I know he's been knocked out before. I know that. But you got to go through a dang rain of fire to be able to get close to this guy if he don't want you to get close. Now, everybody's saying, well, Thurman was supposed to get whooped. I told y'all Thurman was going to get whooped too. Y'all heard it here too. Y'all said he going to get whooped. Okay? But I was studying the film the other day, and Boots has the style that I believe that can give him fits.
That's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you subscribe to Boxing Hub for the latest boxing news, updates, and coverage of the biggest fights and stories from around the sport.